If you know these 15 words, your English is amazing. But these are not advanced C1 words. These are simple and common words. Let's see how many you know. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Number 1, bogus. 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 Do you know this word? This is an adjective. It means not genuine. So it means fake or false. The police discovered that the ID was bogus, was fake or false. She was upset when she realized the deal was completely bogus. It wasn't a real deal. It was fake. Or hopefully you would say, JForrest English isn't bogus. So this means the channel is genuine, it's real, it provides real value. So do you agree? JForrest English isn't bogus. If you agree, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's listen to some real-world examples of native speakers using this word.
And the deeper you go and the more you lie and put out these bogus press releases, the more I'll dig in.
And were called the bogus bucktails. But we'll see. They will not prove to be bogus here.
Number 2, fishy. 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 Do you know this word? Well, this is a fish. And you could say the fish smells fishy. So that would be the adjective to say the fish does not smell good. It smells fishy. But listen to this example. There's something fishy about his story. Do you know how it's being used in this example? In this case, fishy is an adjective and it means suspicious or not trustworthy. For example, her explanation sounded fishy, not trustworthy. Or you could say, I knew the deal was bogus because he was fishy. He wasn't trustworthy. Now let's listen to some real-world examples.
It's gonna seem fishy if you only pick Sarah Gans for the bad example.
You might think something's fishy with this next building, but don't worry, it's meant to be that way.
But there's something fishy about this formula.
Number 3, scramble. 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 Do you know this word? Well, these are scrambled eggs. And the verb to scramble can mean to mix eggs together to produce scrambled eggs. Do you like scrambled eggs? But listen to this example. If we don't scramble, we'll miss the flight. Do you know how it's being used in this case? In this example, it's a verb, and it means to move or act quickly or in a hurried, disorderly way. You could say she had to scramble to finish the project before the deadline. So she had to hurry, but it was very chaotic and disorganized. Or you could say the team scrambled to find a replacement after the speaker canceled. Now let's listen to some real-world examples.
To be a seeker is to want to scramble the self and reconstitute.
I scramble to get the ladder and the yardstick and duct tape it to a broom handle.
They scramble to latch onto the backs of passing females.
Number 4, hunch. 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 Do you know this word? This is a noun and it's a feeling or a guess based on intuition, your gut feeling, rather than known facts. For example, I had a hunch the deal was bogus. So I had this feeling inside. That is a hunch. Now notice it's a noun, so the verb here is to have a hunch. You could say she had a hunch her story was fishy, not trustworthy. Or you could say my hunches, the noun, my hunches are usually right. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
And one of the engineers on the team had a hunch.
We tested her and her hunch proved correct.
What's your, I guess, best hunch of what that content type looks like in the future?
How are you doing so far with these words? Number 5, cringe. 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 Do you know this? This is a verb, and it's to feel embarrassed or uncomfortable, often as a reaction to something awkward or unpleasant. The best way to explain this is to look at my reaction. That is to cringe when you do that. So you might say, I cringe every time I remember spilling coffee on everyone in a job interview. I think of it and I cringe. Or he cringed at the thought of having to give a speech in public. Or just thinking about that fishy guy makes me cringe. Now, as a bonus, you could also say her response was so cringe. What do you notice here? Her response was so cringe. In this case, it's an adjective, to be cringe or to be cringe-worthy. And this is the same as saying her response made me cringe. Made me cringe. This is very trendy right now. People are using cringe as an adjective. That's why I'm sharing it with you. Let's review some real-world examples.
Your messages just so she knows you're joking, because that's going to come off kind of cringe.
I cringe, though, when I'm referred to as a finger painter.
There's so many things that beginners do that make me cringe, though.
Number 6, aloof. 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 Do you know this one? This is an adjective and it means not friendly or warm. So it means distant and detached. She seemed aloof, but she's just shy. His aloof attitude made it hard to get to know him. Teachers can't come across as aloof. We can't come across as distant. We have to come across as friendly. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
We never got his transcripts, and they say he's kind of aloof.
My peers and my boss all thought I was aloof and arrogant.
I became very, very aloof and removed and was a loner.
Number 7, fluster. 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 Do you know this one? This is a verb and it's to make someone nervous, confused, or agitated. For example, she gets flustered easily when she travels. So she gets nervous, but also agitated. Or you could say the unexpected question flustered the speaker. In this case, it's an active verb in the past simple, but it's very common to use this in the passive voice and say the speaker was flustered by the unexpected question. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
Darrow does manage to fluster Brian on the stand over issues of interpretation of Scripture.
Except the fluster of lost door keys, Elizabeth Bishop amusingly says in One Art.
Fluster over in the Black community.
Number 8, quirk. 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 Do you know this one? This is a noun, and it means a strange or unusual trait or characteristic of someone or something. For example, one of her quirks. So one of her strange and unusual personality traits. One of her quirks is that she always wears mismatched socks. So her socks might be 2 different styles or 2 different colors. That's her unusual or strange personality trait, her quirk. Or the house had its quirks, like doors that creaked at night. His quirky sense of humor makes him stand out. So notice here, this is a slight change because quirky is the adjective. That's fun to say, quirky. His quirky sense of humor. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
It's
maybe just a weird psychological quirk of contemporary intellectuals and academics, and maybe it passes with time.
So that's sort of her funny quirk.
Kind of thought to himself, is this a one-off? Is this a quirk? Or does the sun always do this?
Number 9, trivial. 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 Do you know this? It's an adjective and it means of little value or importance. Don't waste time on trivial matters, unimportant matters, when the deadline is approaching. Or the argument was over something so trivial, so unimportant. Now, you can also use this as a trivial problem, which is a problem that's easy to solve. But we commonly use this in the negative. For example, learning English isn't trivial. This is another way of saying learning English is difficult. It isn't trivial. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
Think of these things as relatively trivial, but the memories evoked can be powerful.
It may seem like a trivial pursuit.
It's actually almost trivial that there will be gravitational waves.
Number 10, vent. 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 Do you know this one? Well, this is a vent. But listen to this example sentence. She needed to vent about her stressful day at work. Do you know what it means in this example? Well, here it's a verb and it means to express strong negative emotions such as anger or frustration, but to do that in a forceful and uncontrolled way. For example, you might offer to your friend, call me if you need to vent about your in-laws, if you need to talk about the situation in a negative way for a long period of time. Call me if you need to vent. Or you could say, the meeting was a waste of time. The client vented about trivial matters the whole time. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
But I wanted to vent a little bit, if you will allow me.
It's healthy. That's how Europeans vent.
How many do you know so far? Let's review the final 5. Number 11, nudge. 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 Do you know this one? Well, this is to nudge. It's a verb and it's to push someone or something, but gently, often with an elbow, and you do this to get their attention or to encourage them to do something. For example, she gave him a gentle nudge to remind him to speak up. Or he nudged the door open with his foot when his hands were full. So you don't always have to use this with an elbow, but it is the most common. How about this example? My teacher's words gave me the nudge I needed to start speaking in public. In this case, you can replace the word nudge with encouragement. The nudge I needed, the encouragement I needed. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
No curves that would nudge drivers to take it slow.
And sometimes we need a little nudge.
But isn't there a danger that even if you give them a nudge, they won't budge?
Number 12, glitch. 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 Do you know this one? It's a noun and it's a minor problem or fault, but that causes a temporary error. And this is often used with technological problems. For example, there was a glitch in the system that caused a delay. Or the new video game still has a few glitches, a few problems or faults. The glitch in the software was fixed before the deadline. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
The critic has observed a glitch in the system.
I mean, it's just a little glitch in the overall story.
Apologize for the technical glitch.
Number 13, posh. 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 Do you know this one? It's an adjective and it means elegant, stylish, or luxurious. They stayed at a posh hotel during their vacation. She always dresses in posh outfits for special occasions. The restaurant had a posh atmosphere and excellent service. Let's listen to some real-world examples.
Luxury yachts line the marina, and posh hotels and showy cars flash up the promenade.
3 out of the 4 criminals masqueraded as posh females.
Webhooks, it's the new posh way to say call back.
Number 14, blunder. 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 Do you know this one? This is a noun and it's a careless or stupid mistake. For example, he made a huge blunder by sending the email to the wrong person. So that's a careless mistake that is easy to avoid. So that's a blunder. Or you could say the blunder, because it's a noun, the blunder cost them millions in lost revenue. Or you could say she tried to laugh off the blunder, but it was too cringeworthy. Or to sound very trendy, you can say, but it was too cringe. Remember that image of cringe. Now let's listen to some real world examples.
Was this just another La La Land blunder like at the Oscars?
Number 4, and that was a colossal blunder on his part.
See, I made the classic blunder of not peeling it first.
Number 15, clumsy. 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 Do you know this one? It's an adjective. It definitely describes me at times. It means awkward in movement or handling things, and often leading to accidents or mistakes. Remember I said, this describes me sometimes. Well, this is a true example. Because I'm clumsy, I'm not allowed to wash certain dishes. We have some dishes that are more expensive and therefore more fragile. They break easily. And I have broken many of them because I'm a little clumsy with objects. I easily drop things. So because of that, I am now not allowed to wash certain dishes. What about you? Are you clumsy at all? Or you could say the clumsy waiter spilled coffee all over the table. Or she felt clumsy wearing high heels for the first time. Now let's listen to some real world examples.
You just said it sort of starts a little bit clumsy, you didn't know what you're doing.
There will be times where the relationship is clumsy or mishandled.
You know, this is just clumsy little baby steps.
So how many of these 15 words did you know? Share your score in the comments. And don't worry if you knew 0 or 2 or 4. That just means that you learned 15 new words. So congratulations. Now, did you like this lesson? Do you want me to make more lessons like this? If you do, then put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have 15 more advanced words you can see if you know, so watch it right now.